And I'm like, the right door opened, because what happened for me was people laughed when I'm such a bad student. I was a bad student in school. I was not, I'm not a student. I'm a worker.
She was not a bad student. She was just lazy.
Because I'm not a student. I'm a worker. I don't like school. I like to work.
Arteshia.
Right?
Yeah.
Natalie,
See, that's me.
Natalie,
oh my gosh.
Natalie's brilliant. Don't let her fool you. She's just lazy. There's a difference.
No, I don't like school. I like to work. I already know that. I learned that about myself.
And I don't like to admit this, but her brain is better than mine. Did I just admit that? Stop laughing.
But let me finish though. So I ended up, I got a job at this company, and everyone, when I told them I got a job 2 weeks before I graduated, 2 weeks. And everyone was like, you got a job? I was like, yep, I got a job. Because everybody was like, Natalie ain't never do no homework. She ain't do.
Oh yeah.
They were like,
they used to talk crap about her.
How you got a job? Because I can talk. That's why I got a job. But either way, so I got a job, and within and I barely met the minimum GPA requirement for that job. But I applied. I was like, oh snap, I meet the GPA requirement. I applied. I got the job. But lo and behold, 2 weeks after I got home, my brother died. Right. So I felt I was supposed to be there. I was where I was supposed to be. The doors that I thought were to open didn't, because I was moving to Atlanta. I had told Ian, we're going to move to Atlanta. He had another year, I think, after I was done. And I was going to get a job in Atlanta. I had all these plans, right?
I know. I remember this. I was like, Atlanta, damn.
But I got because that's where all the black people were at. So I'm like, I'm going where the black people are, right? I went to fam. I like the black folks. I'm going where my people's are, right?
Crazy.
So I thought I was going to Atlanta, but lo and behold, I got that job, and then I came home, and then my brother died, right? And I was there for my mom. If those doors and things hadn't opened the way they did, then I wouldn't have been here for my mom. But I knew that, but that's where I was supposed to be. So I don't worry about like when jobs and things like that don't go through, and you're disappointed. Oh, that was no, because what's for you is always for you, and ain't nobody gonna take that from you. That's just my perspective.
And I've learned that too along the way, and especially within these past few months with the passing of my mom, because I had this whole my plan set out. Oh my God, I'm moving to Houston. Like, this has been my mind frame forever. I'm going to Houston. I'm going to Houston. Literally the week that I had 3 interviews set up, flight booked, hotel booked, everything booked to go out to Houston, planning my move, getting ready to go. My mom was hospitalized. All that went out the window. Flight was booked from Tennessee back to Orlando, and I had to be here for mom. Then, everything went left, took a turn. I ended up moving back home from Tennessee to help mom, because at the end of the day, like, that is just, life happens.
Yep.
So, it's timing is everything. You have I had these interviews lined up, thought Houston was where it was going to be at that moment in time, and it just was not meant to be. Now, am I going to make it to Houston? That I am.
All right.
Listen
claim
to this.
When we shall find out, but I am making it.
That's okay. It don't have to be today or tomorrow. As long as you get there, when that time comes, you'll get there.
Definitely.
Just keep proclaiming it. Claim it.
Oh yeah, talk it. You can talk. You can literally talk it into existence.
Seriously, words are powerful.
And then, you mentioned, we didn't talk about that, but you mentioned that you went to Tennessee. So after you graduated, right, you ended up moving. Where did you move to?
Knoxville.
Yeah, to Knoxville, Tennessee, because you had a friend there.
Are there a lot of black people in Knoxville?
Not really. Not at all.
I was just asking. I've never been there before.
No, not really.
No, man. Our other friends who lived there, that's partly like it wasn't very diverse. That's why they left.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why they left.
Okay,
that was part of the reason she said that they left.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, it was.
And they're not black, but they were like, it's not.
Really?
Yeah, they like, no.
I didn't know that.
It was. And Knoxville is literally University of Tennessee. Aside from University of Tennessee,
almost like University of Florida, one of those towns.
Yeah.
Where literally it's the university in the small surrounding area, and then that's it.
And that's it.
Right. Man. So you moved to Tennessee, and you had your roommate.
Yeah.
Because I remember I told you not to come back here. I was like, don't come back.
Yes.
And that's one of the things I tell. I mean, honestly,
I was not coming back.
Don't come back where you grew up.
Right. I mean, you can and you can't. This is my personal view. This is my perspective. Everyone has to live their life the way they want to live it. But I feel like if you're coming from a bad situation from your childhood, not that yours was horrible, but your environment wasn't always the best environment as far as the people in your community that you were around, like who you went to school with, whatever, was not always the best. So when you go and you leave now and you've bettered yourself, right, in a way, you've probably got more education than the next person, right, and you've experienced different things, it's not good to come back. to where you're from. It's
I
not.
agree.
Because you stifle your growth. Instead of continuing to grow, you come back and then you got all these influences, you got all these things that are going on around you, and you're not able to fully immerse yourself in a whole nother level of people. Not that the people that you have that you know are horrible people, but you can't expand your circle, right? But your circle when you left wasn't.
Yeah, I didn't have a big circle to begin with.
Yeah, but you were a little goody. You didn't do nothing.
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
Man, you grew up you didn't grow up nowhere where there was like no. Where you grew up was okay. You didn't grow up around people like your circle of friends all went to college, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's my point. Her circle of friends, most of them probably didn't go to college.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Right. And not to say that going to college is a good thing or a bad thing, but they may not have been the best students. Because you can still be a good student and not go to college. But they weren't probably goal-oriented people, is what I'm saying.
So the people that you grew up around do influence your choices.
Sure, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, if they're not goal-oriented and you're goal-oriented,
that's true.
You can't be hanging around with them because you gonna do what they do.
Well, the thing is that they find out that you also want to do something good with your life. They want to bring you down.
Sometimes,
sometimes, most of the time.
See, that's one thing that you learn too. And even though it's hard, especially because you've created bonds with people and stuff like that, it's just you have to understand that everybody is not going to go
break it.
Everybody's not going to go. They can't go where you're going.
Nope.
So sometimes, you have to
break it,
swallow that pill and let it go. But
break it.
like they say, let it go. So
do. Arteshia, that's not necessarily a bad thing because a lot of those people later on in life realize what you've done, and sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. You know what I mean? But so I've gone back with some friends later on, and we've talked, and they said, "Hey, I'm glad you're doing what you're doing." But at the time when I was doing it, they probably didn't see things my way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's understandable. Some people just, I don't know. Some people don't want you to succeed.
And I think that's what it is too, because I think, especially one of my best friends, we've been best friends since 7th grade and we ended up at USF together and everything. And the other one I met at USF, and like talking to them about, future plans, future goals and all that other stuff. I don't feel like I'm talking outside the box, but talking to, some people from back home, certain people from back home, it's like you're saying where you see yourself or where you want to be. And then it's like, now you have to second guess yourself because
they're making you think you're crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got
like you can't do that. How you going to do that?
Yeah. So
they put those words of negativity in your head. Like, what are you talking about? Don't talk about that stuff,
So, yeah. So, I mean,
bringing you down.
Right. That's why I was wanting to bring that up as far as, the progression and not going back home. Cause I know a lot of kids who don't have the best environments, they go back to it and then you can't grow. Especially if you're the type of person too, where you've always been, if your family's controlling too, don't go back home.
Oh yeah, don't do it.
After you graduate, leave. Yeah, go somewhere else.
If you have a controlling mom or dad, you can't go back.
Like if it wasn't for my mom's health taking a turn for, the worst, I would not have come back home at all whatsoever. I was running quickly. And then it's like, to think, some people probably say, well, now mom's gone, but you're still here.
Nah, I wouldn't worry about
that. That is the case because
you do
life
have
happened.
You do. Oh wait,
I was getting.
we weren't gonna let you get away.
Let her get her circumstance.
I was getting there. Mom passed away, and then I was like, okay, well now mom's gone. There's nothing keeping me. Family, I can always come back and visit. I'm about to go. And then, boom, I find out I am pregnant. So, yeah, life literally happened. So now,
wow,
that's another,
wow.
That's a whole nother episode. That might be another interview.
Yeah, please come back. Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah, I'll be back. I'll definitely be back.
My God.
Yes, her baby is due in June. Do you want to tell? You want to share the name?
Holy crap! Is it June?
Yes,
it is June
of this year.
Yes.
Oh my gosh!
So but how did you? If you don't want to talk about it, that's fine too. But how did you navigate? Because she found out within a few days or so after her mother passed that she was pregnant, and Arteshia is not was not in a stable relationship when this pregnancy occurred.
Accurate.
So How did you manage those? And I will say too, Arteshia was very much a mama's girl. Her mother was her everything.
Everything.
She is her everything.
Oh, it was.
Everything. Everything was her mother. So
that was a huge
and it was
loss.
it was very. I know it was very hard for you. And how have you been able to navigate all the emotions and things that you're going through? You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
Nah, I mean, because it's good to talk about it, get it out there. To be honest, I don't know how I've been navigating and getting through everything because, like, you know, growing up, especially as a girl, you know, a girl into a woman, you always think that when you have kids, mom's gonna be there. At least that's how I painted my picture because me and my mom were so close. I always thought, you know, when I get pregnant, mom's gonna be here. So the fact that, you know, she's not here anymore, I literally found out we buried her October 5th. I found out October 8th, a day after her birthday and 3 days after we buried her, that I was pregnant. So it's just been a whole bunch of mixed emotions, you know, me finding out I'm pregnant, not being able to tell her, feeling like, you know, she should have known she's not here. It's just been a whole whirlwind of like emotions. How I've been coping with it, dealing with it, I do not know, but it's life. I've been dealing with it. And then one thing I will say too is, especially in the Black community, people think like talking to people and, you know, counseling and all that other stuff is like, so, oh my gosh, you know, you can't do that or you shouldn't do that. But that is just so like, it's BS because then you'll sit here with all this stuff like, you know, stuck in your head thinking all these crazy thoughts like, what are you going to do? What's your next move? All this other stuff because you have 1,001, you know, emotions and all this other stuff going around. Like I text my aunt out the blue sometimes. Nathalie, what are you doing this weekend? I need to talk. I need a pep talk. Like just, you know, sometimes you just have to speak and just hear yourself say certain things out loud versus, you know, feeling like you can't talk about it because
that's how, it.
Yeah,
so
because
just keeping it in your mind and ruminating on it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how a lot of, you know, people tend to take their lives and do things to themselves because it's just, you know, they feel like they have no one to talk to or they can't talk to anybody because that's not the right thing to do.
I wonder why that is. The Black community shies away from when you mention. It's a true statement.
It is very true.
I mean, like if you tell someone in the Black community that, well, I'm going to therapist. Oh, you crazy?
Seriously,
but it's not true.
Or what you need that for?
Yeah,
it's because I guess the shrink. You know, it's got a connotation to stigma attached to going.
But I think it goes.
It's for crazy people. But that's what it's been known for.
But the thing is, it goes beyond the Black community. It's not just the Black community. I mean, the Black community looks at it that way, but it goes beyond just society in general.
Correct. Yeah.
Views people when you tell them, oh, I have to go see a counselor or what do you see?
I call mine therapist.
Yeah. People look at you like, why you need to do that for? I'm like, but I agree with Nathalie. I'm like,
I don't care.
I
tell
think
people.
everybody should have somebody to talk to because no one is immune from having these feelings and you can't internalize this stuff. You go crazy.
Yeah, you think that you're processing it by going over it in your head, but all you're doing is circling it round and round and round. You're making your brain, you're making your head worse and worse and you're getting less and less clear on your thoughts about things because you're just going through your head. You can't, that's internalizing.
Yeah.
You have to vocalize. I mean, people need people and people, I mean, I know people who have always been very secretive about their life and talking. And once they begin to open up, they're like, oh my gosh, it's a whole nother world out there. Why did I not do this before?
Yeah.
Because we need each other. And you may not want to tell everybody your business, but it's a good idea to talk to somebody who even if it's just a friend or who you're close to that is able to just listen to you.
Yes.
To get these things out. You know, it's very important. That's why I don't care if people want to if they want to look at me as crazy or whatever, but I go to the therapist. I tell everybody I go. And I tell everybody they need to go. I think every episode of this we've done, I'm like,
she does.
Therapist. Because my therapist changed my life. I mean, she has helped me immensely in changing my views, changing how I think about things, changing how I do things, even as far as delegating, getting my life back. She helped me get my life back and gain control over my life and what I do because I was giving too much to everybody. I didn't know that, right?
And I feel like that's with me too. Like that's why I'm to the point now where I'm just like, you know, I'm gonna find me one. Like
that's why we called 211 today.
That we did.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna call you out right here. Let me call. No,
mission accomplished.
She came here today, and I said, "Have you been to the therapist yet?" No, I'm gonna go. I said, "Well, let's call 211." And 211, just if you guys don't know out there.